Hello everyone, welcome to the color along and tutorial using Prismacolor pencils in the brand new Mythogoria's Haunted Hearts. This is my favorite of all the Mythogoria books because it's the most normal. It doesn't have a lot of gore, it's more Halloweenish. And you can kind of tell what's on the page. The pages aren't terribly busy. And we're going to start with a cute little romance scene in a graveyard because it's almost October 1st. We are using Prismacolor pencils from the 150 set, and a few things you'll need will be a Prismacolor colorless blender, which I show you often, comes in this 2-pack. I use this in almost all my videos when we use Prismacolors. So I have linked all the products I show here in the video, the Patreon comments section below. You're also going to want a soft, large makeup brush for brushing away your crumbs. You don't want to use your hand because then it just flicks it, streaks it right across the paper. I always recommend getting these little baskets where you can pull all your colors before we start. So it's easier to access as we go. And you'll also have a JPEG copy of my color palette, which I will update as we go. And the bottom of the Patreon section is a download, save to your phone or your device. And it kind of shows you all the colors you're going to use to pull and kind of what they look like. So other than a good pencil sharpener, I recommend the Doll for Prismacolors. And to get nice sharp pencils that weren't going to break. And really that's about it in the book, of course. So let's get started. This is such a beautiful book. I'm not even the biggest horror fan, but I do love really good quality art and Halloween-y stuff. Not necessarily like the terrifying stuff. Not a fan of horror movies. But this one's really cute. So it's a romance scene, kind of gothic. I think that's why I like this book. It's more gothic style. And this is just a graveyard, like kind of a dry tree, some tombstones, and creepy hands coming out of the ground, and kind of like this girl that's holding on to her significant other who's long dead. I'm going to turn on another light here. Not quite bright enough in here. Okay. And so the sections we're going to be starting with are the tree, the tall grass, the small leaves, and the dirt, just because those are the colors I pulled first. We can go ahead and start with the tree because it's kind of a focal point. I mean, it's there, you know, it's big. For the tree, I have 3 colors, dark umber, espresso, and dark brown. So dark umber, dark brown, and espresso, which I have here. Mine are all sharpened and ready to go. You're going to need your blender stick as well. So when you look at this palette, whenever I do trees, I use a minimum of 3 colors, a dark tone, a medium, and a lighter tone. And you can see here, now, I didn't do these swatches as dark as I could. So the dark umber, for example, when you look at the colors, you can kind of see what are your darker mid-tone and lighter colors. Let me darken these up with another layer for you. So you can see clearly the dark brown is a milk chocolate's the lightest. The espresso looks more like a dark chocolate, and the dark umber is somewhere in between. Espresso is definitely darker. The dark umber almost has a little bit of red in it, and the espresso looks like it has a little more black in it, for obvious reasons, like espresso would. So they're close, but in the palette there's different. So we're going to start with always the darkest first for trees, which is the espresso. And what we're going to do is we're just going to shade in some lines. So let's just take this big trunk. Don't worry about these squiggle lines, the texture of the tree that's in there. It'll naturally look like it's supposed to after. So I'm just going to kind of take this dark and just kind of start putting in some lines like this. And what we're going to do is build layers so it looks like this tree has multiple kind of dimensions, and then eventually blend it all together. We'll see the dark, the light, the midtones, and it'll look like a natural tree pattern that doesn't look like it, you know, it's a flat, all right? Like it wouldn't just look like one solid color if you looked at it in nature. So I'm just putting some in here, maybe a little right here. I should warn you guys, when I shake and blend too hard, my table shakes a teeny bit, which shakes the phone, so it might look a little bouncy, but if you're coloring along, you're mostly looking at your picture. Okay, so here we have the face and the feather. So let's be sure to go around the feather. Don't get her feather, because that's going to be a pretty sage green color. All the way up. So basically you just go back over, make it a little darker, and we often will do two rounds. I'm going to put a little bit here, these outer branches. You need a really pretty sharp pencil for that. Okay, this is just one color. Now let's do over here. If you're using Soucolor pencils, they're very similar. Colors might not be exact, but the concept is the same. So just do the same method with the colors I recommended. Just know your final outcome won't look the same. I always hope you'll use the same pencils, or try to, in the tutorial, so you can get exact results. And I do bounce around different pencils, so that way you can get experience coloring with different pencils. Different pencils do different things on different papers and in general. And it's good to really learn how to master all the different pencils out there if you plan on doing this adult coloring for the rest of your life. And you really want to grow your skills. It's the best way is to have a little variety. For the first 3 or 4 years, I only used like 2 or 3 things, and you know, my pictures 2 or 3 years later looked exactly the same as when I started, until I started getting new mediums and trying new things, and then went up from there. Okay, so we got a little of that color in all over. And I apologize, I should have had my little Espresso color card down. I usually have color cards, but I can do that now. So let's move now to the dark umber. Okay, here's my color card. So we were doing Espresso prior, now we're doing dark umber. And so we're basically going to do the same thing. We're going to weave in the color just kind of around the other color, and maybe even some overlapping, right? So just long strokes. Let's get this pencil in here. And slowly it covers more and more of the white area. Now this one's nice and sharp, so I'm going to, since these are darker, I'm going to get a little bit of this tree branch here. So right here too, around the skeleton. You can kind of tap it in, like tap the paper. And as we continue this process, it covers more and more white space. But it also leaves kind of like non-specific pattern, right? Like a tree would have kind of be all different tones and all different square inches of area. Okay, now let's do it again with the dark brown, which is the lightest color we have. And we're still not going to get all the white space until we get to another round. So we're just going to start putting in some of this one. Start tapping it in, go around these little things on her hat here. Gonna get a little more up here. So I'm kind of like tap, swipe, tap, swipe, 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 swipe. Kind of like a brush stroke almost you would do with a paintbrush or a brush marker. Pretty easy, it's just kind of time consuming. Let's get over here. Oh, did I not put in my, did I forget to put in my dark umber over here? I thought I did. Let me touch it a little just to make sure. I think I didn't. My hand was covering it, but if I did, then now we have a little more. Okay. Yeah, so now we're doing the dark brown. Let's do this here too. Hold the paper down with the finger. It's a little bulgy, bouncy when you get to the spine. You don't really want that. You want your paper flat, so. Okay, we got a good amount in. Now we're repeating the process a little quicker. We're going to start the darkest again, which is the Espresso. I'm going to start up higher. Now mine's not quite as sharp, so I want to give it a quick little sharpen. You'll see what we're getting at. You'll see how it all comes together here. I want to get, with this sharp, some of these really pointy areas here. This is why I have to use my DAL because D-A-H-L, because D-A-H-L-E, because the only thing that doesn't break Prismacolors. Part of it is people learning how to do the correct pressure too. Let's go down here. Okay, I'm going to start from the bottom. And we're going to go a little darker this time, right? I'm going to streak it in a little darker. I'm pushing a little harder. You're going to see the tree start to darken up. See more kind of dark shadows in here. Going all the way up. Coming down. This is how I do brooms too, with the broom straw or whatever. We're going to go up. We're still leaving some white space. You see that? So we can like get in another layer random bits of the other colors. We're going to do these. Darken these up a little. We'll do over here. Excellent. Tapping in that color, striping it in. Let's get some of this up here. You can go back and do the pointy parts later if you don't get it all. Right now we're just trying to do the main base part of the tree right in here. Okay. Couple final good dark lines. Now let's do the dark umber again. Almost done to our blending. We're going to do the same thing. We're striping in more dark, overlapping the other colors, touching more white areas, getting in more here. I'm going to explain the blending thing here to you in a minute. Just want to finish you do 2 rounds. You get in the first dark, the second dark, and then the lighter. So they kind of all overlap. Then you start redoing it. So the second round will show up darker because you're putting it on top of other colors that are already existing, which will deepen the shades and the kind of the tie-dye-ish looking blend of the unnatural tree pattern versus just doing 1 round, one time. You're putting, you had the first blend of nonsensical colors, 3 different kinds put on, then you're doing it twice. So it's going to really give it a nice natural tree look. I'm going down this way again. I'm going to put in a couple of darker stripes here. I get some here around his neck. I get a couple up here. Push this down. Okay, and we can do our last color now, dark brown. Same thing, this one's lighter. So this one I'm just kind of, I'm actually coloring in a teeny bit instead of just striping it, like in squiggles. You hear that? You can hear that noise. It's still random, but what I'm trying to do is touch the last remaining areas that show very much white. You will see some tooth and spaces. The blending will take care of that, but anywhere that looks like, you don't want anywhere to have too much white. You want to all have a little bit of color for the blend process. And this is still all part of the layering. The reason we're doing a lighter pressure, now theoretically, as soon as we finish this part, it's time to basically burnish, which means a really hard pressure to blend all the colors together from the heat and the friction of that hard blending kind of melts, softens the wax of the pigment on the paper, and the pressure compresses down the remaining paper tooth that isn't fully pressed down through by ink, and then it also to look nice and blended and flat, like matte. But there's two ways you can do that. You can do that with your lightest colored pencil, like this one, right? So I could really hard go in here now and finish off the blend with this and take care of that, but it wears down your pencil quicker, and it's more of a glossy from a waxy effect, whereas with the Prismacolor blender, it does the work for you. It doesn't use all that extra pigment and wear your pencil down as fast. It gives more of a finalized, nicely blended matte look. So I'll show you what I mean here. I've done both. I didn't use a blender stick for years, but it's really like a lifesaver. It's a night and day kind of a thing. I definitely recommend having it. For everything but Prismacolors, I use my Soucolor blenders, but for Prismacolors, I use the Prismacolor brand blender. Okay, so I've got plenty of color in there. I think everything, mostly white, is covered. I mean, you can see white specks and flecks between everything. Now, once you blend with the blender, you can't really get much color back in because it leaves like a material on it. Almost, I won't say chalky. It's a dry oil, like that kind of help blend things. So almost like a coating. So you can't put much more dark back in. So if you want any additional dark spots, like for example, I want to take the Espresso and put in a little bit dark right here at the base where this branch goes out, like that, you'd want to do it now. Or if I want to put in a little line kind of where the veins of the tree are, I'm going to do that now. Put in maybe one here, one here. I'm going to press hard to get a nice dark line. I'm using the Espresso now, by the way. A little dark up here. Sometimes I'll touch in with a artist pen and some on top of that, which actually does work to darken up a few areas, but for the most part, try to do ahead of time. Anything you want a little darker. And plenty of white is showing, which is still fine because we're going to blend down that. Now I'm going to touch again with the dark brown, a little bit of that light color. I'm building the layer again before we blend. It's all going to be worth it. This one now I'm just kind of coloring all over, but I'm using a light pressure. I'm not burnishing or filling in that white tooth. I'm just touching up a little more color, a little more bare spots, etc. Okay. So we're about ready to blend, and I'll show you. If you've seen any of my other tutorials, you've already done this, so right, so let's get the Prismacolor blender. First thing I do is I look at the tip. If I've used this in a previous picture, if it's dark, I pick it off with my nail. Now we're doing an area that's dark, so it doesn't matter. But if you're doing an area that's lighter and you have any dark color on here, it will blend right into whatever you're doing. So I pick it off with my nail, then I give it a little sharpen, which will help get any of it off. I see a teeny bit like purple on there, but it doesn't matter because we're doing dark brown. Okay. So I'm just going to pick an area like on the top here, and I'm going to, you want it more flat than pointy because this flat area gives a smoother blend. If it's pointy, it's going to look more like it cuts through. So you want it while you can touch it and it doesn't feel sharp. I'm going to hold it straight down so it's not an angle and flat. Going to get right along the edge, but then you're going to need to hold your paper down. Then you're going to have to blend using some elbow grease and some effort. And you'll see how this comes together like a natural oak, natural wood tree. I'll show you my hands out of the way in a minute. See that? It's coming together. I did a tutorial on here. It was the Joshua Dunbar's Easy Fall with a Harvest Produce bucket. It should be here on with easy coloring. I believe I used, might have been Soucolor. And all of that gorgeous produce, if you look at it, was all blended out like this with these natural colors, and then put in with like a blender. So you see how it's coming together, and I can see woven through it all the different browns. So it looks like a natural kind of a wood or tree bark or whatever. It's not flat, so to speak, a flat color. We'll leave some crumbs. Keep your brush here and keep gently brushing them off. Let's go down here to the middle. Careful when you go along the feather. But I'm going to really press hard here. It's going to shake the table. And this is why you want it flat. See that? It brings all these colors together. It's making it look nice and like a matte finish. The friction of the pushing down is, again, melting a little bit of that wax, making it soft and blendable. And then there's like some kind of whatever they put on into this material that softens up the wax and whatever it is that they exactly put into the pencil. I don't know. What is that? There's something sticking to the tree. I'm not sure what it is. Sometimes when I'm not sure, I'll just go over it. I'm going to go over it. I don't know what that is, so I'm going to go straight over that up next to her hair. All right. I'm going to go up here. Now, when it starts to get too short and flat and you get into more narrow areas, you have no choice but to sharpen it a little. You don't need a super hard point, but I'm going to blend down this tree. Okay. Holding the paper, you want it totally flat. If there's any error or pocket or puffed up behind it and you're doing hard, you'll rip the paper or a little hole in it. Only happened to me once, and it was just the other day when I was doing Gnome for the holidays. I'm going to sharpen. So it is pretty sharp, but that's only so I can get into these little areas. I'm not going to push too hard. Your little tip might break off, which is fine. Your super sharp tip, I mean. But yeah, so you can get up into these really fine areas before you go back to the wide open areas. If you go over a little into the sky, don't worry, it'll be covered up by some stormy, dark, grayish black of some kind. Now, I didn't color all the way in with my pencil, so I need to do this now. Whichever brown you want, doesn't really matter. You can use whatever brown you choose. Just make sure you've gone all the way out. So I'm going to actually speed this up onto double speed while I finish doing this through the whole tree, just until you get this nice creamy look with all these different browns swirled together, and then we will move on. Okay, we're finished with our tree. You kind of saw what I did. Took a while and I missed a whole area. I didn't go down low enough on that tree there. Touched up. I'm waiting until I do the sky because we might get a little overlap on those tips with like the black or the gray. And then I'm going to take a brown Pitt artist pen. This is black, but I'll take a dark brown one and I'll put that in back on the tips of the tree because it's a little more, like I did a little darker pencil here so it pops out a little more, but there's no point until we get that background color in. And another thing you could do if you wanted, you can take your dark espresso and you can't get a lot of color back in after the blender, but you can sometimes get in like a little line. If you just want to show a little more of that grain pattern. I mean, it's faint, but you can see it a little. All right, well, I am happy with our tree. So what I'd like to do now are the bushes. We're gonna use lime peel and olive green. And we have bushes under the tree, here behind the grass, behind the flower, and behind these tombstones, basically. There's more bushes in the front, but I might want to do, well, we'll see if we do the same colors. I chose less of the vibrant summery greens and more of the murky, swampy, yellowy, kelp marine, you know, yucky greens, just to match the scene a little more. So let's start with olive green. And if you look at these bushes, like between the tombstone and this cross, there's some squiggle lines. Put your pencil tip in over those little squiggle lines. And I need to sharpen mine. One more round. Okay. We're gonna kind of dark, medium to dark shade in the little bushy areas at just at the top right here. And then these little kind of squiggly lines. And then I'm gonna color a little bit down, bring down where we kind of fluffed it in, just bring it down a little bit. Yeah, okay, let's go over here. Now you see a squiggle line that kind of goes like this in the middle of the bush. We're going to treat this as a separate section. So I'm going to kind of fluff in my color here. If you did my Witch's Cottage cat in the tree picture, you saw how I did this with trees. So I'm going to dark, put it in, not super dark, but kind of dark, you know, wherever there's a little squiggle line, which gives a little definition. I'm going to then lightly bring it down with a softer pressure than I did. Just pull that wherever you stopped, like pull it down a little into the white space, kind of go around these leaves here. Bring it down a little, just some soft little bits of color, maybe on the side of that cross. There's a dirt line here behind the hand. Maybe I'm going to get between those two leaf stems. Most of this and a little bit under the branch. Most of this we're going to fill in with the lime peel. Now let's do this one up here. Okay, I'm going to bring it down. There. And then again, tip it a little darker at the top, the fluffy part again. Go back over, make it a little darker. Like this. Then go over it a little darker with some squiggle lines at this one we already did. So then it'll look, and then light touch down here, maybe this little corner. We'll fill that in with the lime peel. Okay, let's switch over to line peel. We'll do that now so you can kind of see before we continue. So I'm going to, for this one, I have a very sharp tip. We have some grass here. I'm going to try to do this first and get that sharp end between those grass blades. Like where you can imagine the grass stops and the bushes are poking up and start. Over here too, I'm going to take my point and do between the fingers. Wow, it's real sharp. Kind of between the rest of these leaves and between this bush. Around these little leaves and the dirt line. This will be easiest when it's really sharp. Okay, now I'm going to shade over this green and into the white space and kind of blend it softly together. You can go up here. So yeah, we're blending over the softer areas where we lightened up the green and then over the white. We're kind of just fluffing and circling this in. That's why we do it darker and then lighten our pressure so it's lighter, where we're going to overlap this lighter green. So it's not like such a hard, abrasive like transition of color from one to another. It looks natural like this. Now let's get down here between the fingers. Gonna get kind of between these little leaves around the stem since it's still kind of sharp. See how that looks? Looks natural. That's why we fluffed in this darker here and then in the middle, and then you kind of overlap and fill it in. It gives it like some texture and looks a little more natural, not so dull and flat. Let's get down here. I'm gonna blend over this one too, between these grass blades. Yeah, so that looks great. More of a yellow color, like the bushes are a little more dead. I wanted to do brown, but we have so much brown in the dirt. I didn't want to, you know, overkill the brown, and plus green and brown looks nice together. You can then, so we didn't use the blender here. And this is an example of what I was talking about. I forgot to tell you, you want to push hard. So I'm blending in pretty firm and hard with pressure, and that friction is creating a waxy blend, and it's kind of doing the work of the blender, but it's just, it looks a little different. It doesn't look as matte, but it actually, in these small areas, you don't need the blender most of the time, depending on, you know, the color transitions and differences you're using. But here, you can run over with a firm pressure and it blends everything together. And then you can take the dark olive again. I just want to tip in a little dark back at the top here, give a little more shadow. A little bit here, a little squiggle, squiggles. Okay. There we go. All right, so that takes care of those bushes. Basically, we just have to repeat this process on the other side. So again, we'll start with these little squiggle lines kind of in the middle of the bushes, put in this dark green. And this one is kind of poking up, so I'm just going to go straight upward. Kind of just get the top again, fluff this in. Then we're going to bring it down and lighten our pressure as we go down, so that we can get a nice blend. I'm going to go a little bit down the side of this tombstone, a little bit down the side of this on this side for a little shadow. All right, let's go over here. Gonna get along the top, down the side. Okay, there we go. Going at the top here and down. Bringing it down, but then definitely darker at the top. Bring it down the side. Bringing this down just a little lightly so we can overlap. I'm going to soften my transition line right there. A little light right here, squiggle in. Okay. I think we're ready. And I'm going to actually go over here to around the tree. We're going to do this at the base of the tree, like this. Kind of dark. Under her hair and kind of around, like this. Use this. It's kind of flat on the end now, so that's actually good. It allows us to kind of fluff it in a little bit more. And then I'm going to just pull it a little bit down into the white area. Okay, so let's move to the lime peel. We are going to blend at the transition line where the other green stops. We're going to just kind of swirl in there, overlap, then bring it into our own white space here. And I haven't resharpened it yet, not till I get to the between the grass blades. I'm going to go over it multiple times, use a hard pressure, get it soft and waxy and smooth. Great. Okay. Oh, goodness. Let's go over here. I feel like on this one, it goes down further than I thought. I'm going to bring it down just a little. Just a little. Maybe a little bit right here around this grass. Okay. Let's get here. Overlapping. Hold your paper down. Get between these grass blades. Above the grass blades. I'm going to come over to the far left. Come down in here. I'm going to sharpen now before I get between these grass blades. It's easier to get between. Okay. Let's get in here between these grass blades. I'm going to get down here by the dirt. I want to make sure that's what that was. I'm not going to do the tall grass. That's going to be a different color. So I'm just getting the, I guess the bushes. It's hard to tell, but I'm just going along the front, not the pokey parts. I'll touch in some darker greens there. I might use my artist pen for that to make it kind of pop out. Let's get over here. All right. I want to touch in a little bit down here. Getting between these grass blades. I'm not going to go all the way actually, although I did on this one. I feel like that should have been a different green. This grass is poking up from the bottom and the grass is a different color. So I'm actually going to just do the bush, but not any of the parts that are sticking up. So like kind of at the base. And then we'll go in with our darker green and make that grass kind of pop upward. Gonna go down. Okay. Okay, well, we're done with the bushes. I'm going to take my dark green that we started with, the olive, just tap it a little bit darker here at the top. These little puffy areas. Okay, that looks good. Some nice grass backdrops. It's time consuming like I told you, but if you really want things to look nice and get a nice effect on things, you have to put in the time. What we're going to use for all this dirt is like a sandbar brown. It's a little bit of a lighter tan, dirty brown, a beach sand brown. We'll use a really dark green, I don't remember what I put on my palette, some darker greens for this grass that pokes up, and mostly greens over here in these leaves. I didn't want to do a lot of autumn colors. I wanted things to look more, not so vibrant. I didn't want like the beautiful, gorgeous autumn colors for the look of the picture. And of course, the Tombstones, we have like 5 or 6 shades of grays, and then I have some really pretty purples and violets for her dress. And so it's gonna look really nice. So I'm gonna take a little break and resume this tomorrow, which for you will only be a short period of time. Make sure you make a note of where you stop on the timestamp so you can go back to finding that area. pretty easily. Okay, so back now. Actually, I pulled some other colors. I wanted to work on her dress and her clothes. I don't know. I just kind of want to see how their outfits are going to come together as I make sure I've chosen the right colors to fill in all around them. Because we have some kind of vibrant, more gothic purples and blues and grays in their outfits. So let's go ahead and do their clothes. So I want to do, I'm sure let's do her skin. I mean, she has a small face, but I did choose 4 colors: peach, light peach, nectar, and pink. So the light peach we'll start with, and she has a small face, but I still want to kind of get a little bit of texture in there. The light peach we're going to use for basing her skin. So I'm just going to kind of base it all over on her nose and even her lips a little is fine, her eyes, her ear. There we go. I'm going to do her hands. Where's her other hand? Oh, they're linked. Silly me. Just going to do a little bit more so we can see it a little more. There's 2 like little circles on her, and I'm not sure what those are. I think they're supposed to be tears. Maybe? On her face? I'm not sure. Okay, so let's go to the nectar. So this color is a little darker, and this is going to kind of be the color that we put into some of the like shadows to frame her face a little. So we're going to run it up here along the hairline. I'm using a very kind of a soft pressure on here. Okay, I'm going to put some over the arch of her eyelid. Not where you'd put the eyeshadow, but like above it. I'm going to follow the bridge line of her nose. A little bit at the tip of her nose. A little bit on her cleft under her nose. A little bit under her chin. I'm going to softly bring it down and outline her cheek here. Putting that on the inside of her ear, her neck. All right, let's go over here and do the hands. Just going to outline her hands and her wrist, maybe just on the top part, along the thumb, wherever the fingers are touching, like where there's a little bit of shadow or friction. Pretty easy. Okay, let's go on to the peach color. Then the peach, we just kind of are going to blend into where the nectar left off. So right at that transition line, and then a little bit over to kind of bring the colors together. Nice and soft and gentle, and just kind of work on her forehead and above her eyes. I'm thinking of putting eyeshadow on here, so I'm not going to do the top of her eyelids. So leave that white. The color will go on better without it. You can do way up here under her eyebrow, but not below the line where we did the top of her, that round part above her eyelid. I'm going to color in her nose, just half of it, because I'm going to go back in with the light peach and touch that up. So I'm going to go half and then up. this cheek here, I'm only gonna just kind of blend in a little. I'm going to actually stop for a minute and go to the pink to put in her blush before we continue. So take the pink. I'm gonna put a little bit in her ear where the kind of the crevice is. I'm gonna put it in her cheek. A little bit over here. I'm going to put them on the top of her hand just a little bit so it looks a little pinky. A little bit under her nose, that clefty area there. A little under her chin. Okay, now let's resume the peach, and we can kind of blend a little bit over that and under her eye. A little, and then blend over her cheek where that pink ends, a little bit over and then where it ended. I'm not going to close the area all the way from the cheek to under her nose. I want to put the light peach a little bit back in, but I am going to try to get like this area around her chin, her lower cheek. So I'm just gradually kind of working that in. Okay, and let's move back to the light peach. And I'm going to get all her cheek to the right of the nose in that open area there, kind of where we stopped with the other one, just this lightest area right here. And then the far right of her nose area. I'll go around her mouth. I'm gonna get the rest of her ear. I'm gonna get the bottom of her chin. Right. I'm going to get over the blush on the left side, around her mouth, just close to the nose. Okay, now I'm going to get the nectar, put a little shadows back in. On her forehead, we're going to do the hairline, put a little bit of this back in, up here. Follow the line of her hair. Go above the eyebrow. I'm going to follow the line of the nose again to make it a little more 3D. I'm going to go down, just do a little bit inside of her cheek here, a little bit more, right at the neck too, like where her collar is. Up here. A little bit of her ear at the top, maybe in the bottom by the earring, and right here on the side of her face. Okay, now let's do the regular peach again. I'm gonna blend into that second layer, blend into that nectar at the forehead, bring it a little bit down. I'm going to do the ear, the outer ear. I'm going to do under her eyebrow, the left part of her nose. I'm going to do a little darker. I'm going to do under her eye and a little bit over the blush. I'm going to go into that a little more. I'm going to go a little over the blush over on this side, a little bit around her face. One last time I have to touch in the light peach, but let's go over here to her hand, and with this peach outline half her hand, a little bit on her wrist, and then this finger. Okay, let's move to the light peach the last time. We're going to get in the rest of her hand. Okay, then go back and do right around her nose to the right, around that teardrop kind of. If it looks a little too white, I want to blend that peach in there. A bit more up on the forehead. All right, so I'm going to take the Prismacolor blender just to blend around the cheek area a little and kind of smooth it out. Make sure there's no color on here. Last thing needs a big black streak on her face. Okay, I'm going to blend around the right of her nose, this white area, and kind of around like over the nose, kind of where the blush starts in this little area, and then around like the side of her face. And then blend over here on the left, her blush, her lower chin. And do the top of her ear. Her lower chin a little more. You'll see it helps smooth it out. It'll look a little more natural. Her eyes should still be white because we're not putting in the makeup yet. Until I see how her ensemble comes together. Ensemble. Okay. Blend it all until it's nice and smooth. Perfect. All right, she looks good. So we're done with her skin. I'm going to take the pink and just put in a tad more blush over that blender right there. Just to retouch it a little so you can see it. Okay. Now I want to work on her hat and her dress. For her hat, the bonnet, I have dioxane purple, hue of violet, and gray lavender for the feather. Okay, so I've got violet and dioxane purple hue, gray lavender. So here's the gray lavender, the feather. I guess we're just going to do a solid color. I must have been thinking, yeah, let's just color this in a nice soft lavender then. Oh, did I put white in there? Maybe that's why. No? All right, that's fine. We're going to do this gray lavender, this feather. Just going to color this whole feather. I don't often do single color things, but I think I just wanted the feather to look nice and soft and natural. Single color. Make sure you get all the little tips, areas of white. We'll put a dark purple vein to the center there, or maybe a gray. So now that I think I have all the color touched in, I'm going to do it hard, which puts in a final color and kind of darkens it a little, makes it nice and creamy. See that? if you see how it feels like all slippery and like waxy, it's because you already have a layer, like a couple layers on there. You kept going over it before you do this final one. Great. I'm even putting it as dark as I can more on the edge of the feather so they stand out a little. Good. Okay, so for her dress, we have the violet and the dioxane. I'm sorry, dress, her bonnet. The dress has some crossover colors, but okay. So there's two parts to her hat. There's this top thing and the bottom thing. The top thing, I thought we could kind of blend the colors. So the dioxane is the darker of the two. So let's put in this dioxane into this little ruffly thing at the top, into the kind of the dark shadowy areas where you see a little grayscale here. Okay. I'm just going to follow the little curves here. All right, and I'm going to kind of feathers off here. Like there's these little wisps. I'm going to put these wisps up into the feather at the end of the hat here. Okay, let's go ahead and take the violet and just blend around and into that. We use a lighter pressure as we kind of go around and over everything in the center of that dioxane color, around it. Gonna do a little darker at the top here, under the skeleton's chin. All right, I'm gonna actually find the white. We're gonna put a little bit of white in here where it's a lot lighter, you see, where that we just put that violet before we blend. Okay, let's get the blender stick. Where did mine go? There you are. No, I literally just had it. Did it roll off the table? Oh, there it is. Okay, put it in my pencil thing. Let's blend starting in the white areas in between. First, that's a little lighter. All right, dioxane. Put a little dioxane back to outline those few areas. I'm gonna actually use this dioxane to do the vein inside the feather. Okay. And then I'm gonna use this dioxane for the basis of the whole hat. This dark purple. I'm going to do a solid purple, whereas the hat has a little bit of this in it, but it's mostly that lighter grapey type purple. This one's almost like a blackish purple, if you can see that. Add it where necessary. I think that's... What is this? I think this is part of her hair. I missed a little part of the tree on the left side of the feather. I think. Yeah. I thought it was inside of her hat, but it's the tree. That's okay. I'll fix that off camera. Good. So then there's some little pokey things coming off her head. I'm going to use, do I have? Black. I'm going to use my black Faber-Castell Pitt Artist Pen. Well, no, see, oh no, I can't do that because the sky is going to be black. We won't see it then. Okay, so I'm going to hold off on these little things on her hat until I know better what we're going to do. I'm going to touch a little bit of that right there. That'll make it darker. Okay. All right, well, anyway, we're done with her hat. We can move on to her dress. Her dress, we have violet blue, imperial violet, cloud blue, and blue violet lake. Okay, so in this case, the violet blue is the darkest. So I think yeah, that'll look good. I think, I hope. Sometimes I like to try new things, which may or may not backfire. Let's try violet blue. That's the darker one. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna start here close to him with this dark purple, and we're gonna start bringing the color down like this. And then on her dress, it'll be the same. It'll be like this. And we're gonna lighten our color with gradient into the lighter color as we come to the middle. So We're going to start up here between the hand. Okay. Going to go around the thumb. I'm using a light to barely medium pressure. I'm going to go under this sleeve around the skeleton hand. So let me go down to the bottom here. We're going to work our way up. So we're just going to kind of come out into the folds. Follow the direction of the folds. The dress. You see how that goes? So we're going to do one more, a little bit more. So let's hit a little darker up here. We will be doing 2 rounds on this. And only half of this a little bit darker. And half will keep lighter for blending in the next color. But we'll be going back over that, so I'll keep it light for now. We want to build layers on here. Okay, so now we got a ways to go on these longer panels. So I'm going to make it a little bit lower. I'm going to bring it down just a little bit more. Okay, so got to go around his wrist, also up here. Bring this a little bit down all across her bum. We're going to bring that color down. Okay, so then let's go over to this one. Same thing. We're going to bring it, let's start. It's kind of hard on me right-handed. I'm going to have to move the book a little. I want to go the direction of the folds. So I'm just going to go like this. I'm going to do up here. I'm going to come inward a little awkward when you're right-handed, but if I start turning the book all kinds of funny ways, you'll probably have to do the same if you're right, depending on which side you write with. There we go. Okay, a little bit darker right around here. Okay, a little darker right here. Now let's go into the next color, which is the Imperial Violet. So, fix my camera. I'm going to kind of take about halfway where this color ends, and I'm going to start blending over it about halfway. We are going to be redarkening that first color over it and then into some of its own white space. So let's get down here. We're going to bring this color down about another 1/4 of the way. I'm going to color up to the hand. So we got a lot of dress left here. We want to bring this down a little more because we only have 2 other colors to put in. We want to have each color go down about 1/4 of the way. So I'm bringing this down a little more around this dirt or whatever this is here. Under this hand. Okay, let's go and bring this down up here. I'm gonna lighten things up. I'm just lightening it up a lot because we're gonna be putting in that blue-violet lake. It's a much lighter color, it's a blue, so I'm really just barely touching it here so we can have a nice pale transition overlap color. Real gentle, barely touching the paper. A little bit of that in here. All right, let's do this up here too. Gonna lighten it up. Let's come back over here. Now we're doing this side. Trying to go this way. Okay, that's good. We just need to soften that transition line just a teeny bit. Touch it a little more. Really light. Okay, let's go to Blue-Violet Lake. Blue-Violet Lake. So we're going to, let's start on this side. We're going to partly halfway blend over this color, blending into the last remaining areas of that purple. I'm going to leave a little area for the lightest blue. I'm going to have to turn my book. Okay, sorry about that. That's better. Okay, I'm going to have to, so we're going to partly overlap this purple first. It's the first thing we're going to do. I'm still leaving some white area. I'm not going to fill in all of it, but I'm going to also bring this into its own white space, following the direction here of the dress, awkward as it is to do this on camera at a funny angle. I'm trying to follow the folds of the dress, but they kind of loop around. So I am overlapping this blue up here. So you see I'm leaving this area white here for the lightest blue color. This one you want to be overlapping here in the other purple we just did. I'm going to bring this down a little bit. All right, so this side too, we're going to bring in, do some of this blue. Let's do this. white, and I'm just going to touch on this white very lightly and pale. Just barely touch it. Okay. So now let's do the final color, which is that Cloud Blue 1023. I guess I don't have a card for this one. It's Cloud Blue 1023, and I'm going to blend this in this last portion of the Blue Violet Lake and then into the white areas. Okay, on each side. Blending straight up the middle. This is going to look way better when we get in our second round and then blend it, of course. Looks a little archaic in the meantime. Get all this in the middle. Okay, now we're going to have to repeat that to do our next layer. So we're going to put in the violet blue. Since I have my book turned this way, I'm just going to keep it this way. And I'm going to darken it up. So add another layer. We want it darker, a little more rich in color. Only this one first little, 1/8 or whatever we're darkening up. Just going back over it so you see the color developing a little more. There you go. Just a little more, adding this back in, then particularly dark at the edges. Okay, I'm going to do some up here, darken it up a little. And over here. All right. Okay. Darkening everything up along the edge, because once you blend, you can't get a lot of that back in. All right. Great. Now let's go to the Imperial Violet. I'm going to go down this way. Same thing, I'm going to put some in darker color. I'm going to go over the half of that blue, not all, half. And mostly go over the original Imperial Violet areas again. Putting in more purple like I am. I guess I'm going around this dirt. That's dirt that's flung on her dress. I didn't see that before. I might have gone over it. Whoopsie. We're just going to go around the leaf. I missed a spot down there originally, looks like. Okay. Then lightening it up right here for that Blue Violet Lake. Let's do the same thing over here. Adding more violet, Imperial Violet. It's gonna look nice. All right. Let's do the Blue Violet Lake. We're going to put some of this back in. Maybe make sure you overlap that Imperial Violet because it makes a nice shade once they're going to be combined. Darkening this up. And did I miss? I think her dress come all the way down to here. Oh, it does. That's like, this is like the ruffles over the main part of the dress. Okay, I'm gonna have to get another color for that. Darn, I didn't see that. These intricate drawings, you can't always see everything until you're comes apparent once you start putting in color. Not the first time that's happened to me. Adding some more along here, overlapping that violet. Putting a little of this color in. Okay. I guess I won't do that bottom panel. Need to really stop it right there. Okay, let's go again one last time with that cloud blue. And I will turn the book back, but blending up and down the middle. I want to overlap the blue violet leg, overlap a little the imperial. So it'll look amazing when we blend it. I'm going to put a little bit of this up here even. Okay. Putting a little bit up here, just so you'll have like multiple shades of color. And different tones you'll see in this beautiful dress. Whew, that was quite an adventure. Okay, so make sure you can still see my book. Okay. So let's just start blending. We'll take our Prismacolor blender. Surprise! I'm going to do the white and the blue violet lake and that cloud blue first, or this light area first, okay? So I'm going to blend each of these pale areas first. Going toward the dark. Think about more of these sticks because I use them like crazy. This one's getting pretty low. Okay. So we can blend this looks great. So we're blending away from the light. Let's turn my book again. We're going to blend away and into these vibrant colors. Bringing everything together. Is a process. Time-consuming process. I think I'll take some of our hat colors for this bottom dress panel. So it'll color coordinates. Let's get up here. I'm going to go now over, even over the blue, violet, and the cloud blue together, even if I put a little dark into there, because it'll like look like you can see the colors kind of swirl together, like they all just kind of naturally belong. All right, let's do this one. We're going from the light up into the dark area. There we go. I'm getting there. Looks amazing. So my process really does end up being worth it in the end. You want to blend right on over that transition line here. Let's get up here. Between the skeleton's fingers. Ah. So now I'm going to blend, pick this off a little bit more toward that cloud blue, tie it all together. Now we can kind of let it all run together at that, bring it all overlapping, all together. What is the date today? 25. Okay, so that's Friday. Looking good. Let's turn this back. Yay! We made it. So, what I'm going to do, I'm going to, see, this is dirt. So I'm going to take that dioxane color that we did in the darker area of her hat. Going to do, I'm going to color in this dress panel, solid color with it around the leaves. I'm going to have to get pretty sharp to get into those kind of narrow areas there. And we're also going to tie this into her top. I know clothes take a while, but I like to do elaborate details on clothes. We're going to go around these leaves, especially in these narrow spots here. Around over here, we'll just kind of blend this in where we stopped that violet or that blue, because I accidentally put some blue into here. Okay. There we go. All right, so then, make sure I don't miss anything. I'm going to take the violet and kind of go over that. Well, no, never mind. I want to save that for our top. So, okay, never mind. Just do a second round. Get it nice and dark with your dioxane. Your dioxane is what we're on. I'm going to put that card there. Okay. There we go. Just try to make it nice and rich in color and go over it multiple times. Up against those stems, it's really hard to not get every little white spot. Okay, so that looks good. So I think we want to put in this dark again in a combination of colors up here. So we are going to do that next. Okay, so what I think we should do is put a combination of colors. So we're going to do the darkest dioxane first, then the Imperial Violet. So we're using two colors from here and here in her top, okay? So let's start with that dioxane purple hue. And I'm going to put this at the top of her back. We're going to go around the sleeve, actually at her collar, not the ruffle part, but like the straight panel part. And then bring it down a little bit. Okay, then the Imperial Violet. Let's blend into that. Halfway over and then down a little into the white space. Okay, then the violet blue. Go down. Then lastly, the plain violet. All the way down to just the bottom of the panel. We might do the two blue colors for the little part below the waist, the ruffle part. So then I blend this over up her back a little, this bottom color, and kind of tie it kind of all in together. I'm not going to do a second coat yet. We're going to repeat this process on the part with her sleeve. So we'll start with the dioxane again. We're going to go from her shoulder in this way. Okay. And get down here in the bottom of her sleeve, follow this upward. Just kind of coming out a little like this. Okay. Then we'll do the Imperial Violet again. Then violet blue again, just a little. Going in the direction of her hand, toward her hand. I'm going to do a little bit, the first part of her sleeve only. And violet. Go further down. I'm going to overlap these colors here a little. Okay, not doing that bottom yet. Let's go back to the dioxane, put in our second little layer of touch up. Let's do it the shoulder. Let's darken it up here. Gonna do it the collar and go down. A particular dark right where the, I'm gonna do a dark line like right where the sleeve starts. So there's no trouble differentiating the outline there. Then I have to kind of bring that darkness down a little. Okay, next the Imperial. I think we should do actually the violet. I'm gonna do the violet blue. Yeah, the violet blue next. I think mine are not in order. I messed up my pencils. That's what happens when you don't put them back in order. So yeah, the violet blue, I think I want to put in next. Blend in, do a little darker there, kind of blend into that purple. The way down. Bring a little bit in. Okay, we could do the Imperial Violet next. Putting in a little more color of this one, bringing it all the way down, not quite, but almost. Bringing this all the way down to the skeleton's sleeve here. Okay, and then the violet is the last color. The sleeve here, we're darkening it up before we blend. Just going to overlap a little bit of that right here. And then down and goes at the bottom down here. I'm not going to blend this just yet until we put in the bottom color. Let's do the Blue Violet Lake. I'm going to have these ruffles just be in the blue. Okay, so we're going to come down with the blue halfway. Actually, I'm going to touch a little bit of this blue up here. Just randomly put some in on the sleeve there, just so it'll right in the middle. I'll give like a little highlights, a little bit of that blue tone. Okay, let's do the cloud blue. Put this in right here. All right. Excellent. And then I'm going to take that dark stain, I'm going to just darken up like her belt, like put like a belt strip or something right there. See that? Okay. Perfect. Blend City, huh? Time to get our elbow grease in for the day. Pick off that purple from the end of my blender. I'm going to blend the blue first, of course. Try not to hit the waistband, that purple we just put in there. I'm missing a little blue right here. Okay, now when I get her back, I want to do the lower purple part, which is lighter, and work our way upward. There we go. Ooh, this is pretty. We kind of blended the colors from the hat and the skirt all in one, which ties together the whole outfit. I know it seems like a lot of effort on one character, but they're kind of central in the picture. Like your eye goes right to them, so we want them to look fashionable. She's obviously mourning her love and hasn't gotten over him yet. Comes down to the graveyard to visit him. His ghost or his skeleton or something. Because she just can't move on. Tragedy. Okay, I'm going to go a little bit over this arm circular divider here. Right. All right, so we're just going to touch in, bring out these little feathery things a little further onto her hat with the dioxane purple hue. Look a little feathery. Okay, she is done. I'm going to take this dioxane. I'm going to put in a very light stripe into this indent here, like in the pleat of the waist part of her dress. Wherever there's a little bit of a fold. Outline this kind of zigzag at the bottom of it there. It stands out a little bit. And then I can go a little bit back around that with the Blue Violet Lake. You can't get much color back in though once you've done the blender, but I don't know why I always try. Because then it ends up looking a little smear, just like you want to blend again anyway. That's fine, that'll be better in the end. I want to soften up that little color I put on the pleat right there. Okay. That's good. So, her hair is going to be black, and we can go ahead and do that now. It's going to be black with maybe just a little touch of blue violet, just to give it kind of that cool black color. Let's find my black. Okay, we're done with all these other colors. Oh, well, I think, let me look at this for a minute. Yeah, the violet blue. Violet blue. Grab your black and your violet blue, get it all nice and sharpened. Why did I just, oh, there it is. I just lost it. Okay. So, for her hair, black hair. The sky's gonna be black, so you always want to have a little black in some other areas to go together. We can't do his hat black because it's too close to the sky, and then you wouldn't really see where one ends and the other begins. Otherwise, I would have done it black. But her hair being black would be a good touch. So we get a little bit of that goth style. So I'm going to take the black and I'm going to do her eyebrow first, nice and sharp, because I just sharpened it. In fact, I think I sharpened it too hard. I'm going to, my wood is wobbling. Let's get that really sharp eyebrow in. I'm going to put a little dab of that in the nose hole on each side of her face. Then let's get these strands of hair. You need a really sharp pencil. Don't push too hard so you don't break it. If you have a really thin, the black micron fine liner would work as well. There we go. Let's get these ones over here on her cheek. And one on the front of his coat, which will be a reddish tones. Plus, with these blues and diaxines in her dress, the black hair these are all cool tones, so it's going to look the best with her outfit. So you see where the little stripes are? I almost want to go around the stripes. I might want to stripe in a little bit of that violet there. That might not even be visible, but we'll see. See how much we need it. I'm going to leave a little bit of white up here. I'm going to grab my violet blue. Just going to put in a little bit, and there's an undertone almost, and then we'll go over it. Just kind of color into those white spaces right there. And then I'm going to go back with the black. And I'm going to go kind of over everything, and it helps to show like a little bit of bluish tone through the black, which looks like a cool black than a warm black. Okay. Gonna stripe in here in her hair. And put in a teeny bit more of this blue violet just on the side of her face here. Go back to my black and get that in. I'm just going to straight up darken it. We're not going to blend with a stick. We'll use the pencil to blend. Get nice and creamy and dark. Okay. Follow that curve. Outlining it, making sure they're nice and sharp on her eyebrow and those hair strands. Nice and rich black. Great. So time consuming. I'm going to run this over her eyelash. Right there. Okay, so I'm going to weave this in around the spiky feather that kind of comes into her hair. Weave that in. I'm just going to kind of follow the lines of the hair. Following the kind of the little curls here. Let's put in some of that blue violet. Putting in light, just around all that black, the bottom layer. All right. Here we go. Try to get this color in nice and rich. That cool black tone there. Okay, so it's the next day. I decided I want to go ahead and do the skeleton's coat and head and then move on to the dirt, which are the colors that I have pulled. So he's going to be Tuscan Red, Crimson Lake, Crimson Red, Deco Pink, and White. A touch of black maybe for the shadows in his coat. The skeleton's head would be white, cool gray, 20%, 10%, and I'm adding cool gray 50%. So let me write that down. 50% just for, need to make some shadows. 50% cool gray. So we can pull those as well from your basket. All right, let's get started. I'm excited to see this come together. I want to start on his coat, so we're going to start with the black. And all we're going to do is just put a little bit of that black into these little shadows right here, or the little like creases, folds, clothing folds. Just right there. A little bit there. A little bit up here along his collar. A little bit here. A little bit up here. A little bit here. Here. Just a little bit on the lines. That's really it. Just like in a few spots. Maybe along his shoulder in that crease. I don't know what that dollop is right there. Decay, I guess. Okay. So let's start with the Tuscan Red because it's the darkest. And so I think for a minute how I want to do this. Yeah, so I'm going to kind of do the outline around his shoulder first. Okay, so with a nice sharp Tuscan Red, I'm going to go up around his shoulder line. Kind of color this down. Right here. I'm going to go a little bit down. I think we'll I want to also go to the base of his sleeve, go along the bottom. I'm going to kind of go around these little splotches. Maybe that's like green oozy slime or something on him. Not quite sure. I'm going to go up a little. So for this one, I think I want to kind of box it in. So I want to go a little bit, bring this from the top down the side. All right. We're gonna box it in and put like that light colored highlight down the center of his sleeve. So we're outlining basically the sleeve. All right, and we will come back and touch this up. So next let's go to the crimson red. I'm sorry, the Crimson Lake. Crimson Lake. Crimson Lake is the darker, yes. All right, so we're going to halfway overlap that red and bring it a little bit into this toward the center, halfway overlap down the side, and I'm going to bring it straight down, following the line of the sleeve, go around this little black area. All right, just do a little bit here at the base of the cuff and then upward. Let's bring that up. Okay. All right, crimson red. So same thing, we're closing it in, overlapping the colors, bringing it more toward the center, this big kind of white block in the middle, overlapping a little, doing it light because we're going to do second round. Okay, then the Deco Pink. And that we're still not gonna go all the way to the center. We're just gonna extend that out a little. You're not gonna see a lot, but it gives a nicer tint to kind of blend into the white that still seems like it's kind of reddish. So we're just gonna bring that pink in a little bit toward the center where we're gonna end up putting the white. It's a pretty light pink, so you're not gonna see a lot, but it does make a difference. Okay, now let's put in the white right in the middle. It's going to overlap a little bit. I just caught a little bit of that black, darn it. It's all right. So then again, I want to start that over. I want to add in some extra color. So we're going to start again, and then we're going to do the Tuscan around the shoulder. We're going to darken this up. We're going to do a little bit darker on the shoulder and bring this down along the side. Then again, a little bit at the base. Go right up to the line. All right, let's do the Crimson Lake. Same thing, good. Put in a little more of this color. Darken things up a little. Okay, then next the Crimson Red. We're going to bring that right up to that line, but I'm going to actually soften it. I didn't really do this last time. My pressure softened. Barely lighten it up as we get in and close in that white just a little, so it's a little thinner. That Okay. There you go. Okay, now let's put in the Deco Pink again. Gonna go around. I'm gonna actually go kind of into the white. I mean, really, we're kind of blending a pink and a white there, but it's fine to get. I'm gonna overlap a little bit into the red. I'm gonna put a little bit of this down here where it's lighter. Let's squiggle a little bit of it up here. Just because I like how it looks when it blends. Now let's put in the white again. Okay, let's go ahead and blend it out. I have a blender here to pick off the end because we're going to start in the center. Make sure there's nothing dark or black on your end. All right, let's start in the middle over that pink and white. Then let's start bringing it outward into the pink and the lighter red. Okay, let's blend now this into the kind of red over it, since we already gave it a protective layer, just to kind of meld it like a natural transition. It'll take on a little bit of a tint of a grayish, a reddish, whitish color, which is what we wanted. And it looks like if it's getting a little bit of the black, I feel like the ink from the paper is being, or the lines, it's being picked up a little bit, which is fine. I mean, it just gives it a little more of that gray tint, but just try to go light around it. We'll touch this back up with the Pitt Artist pen where we put in that black. Okay, now let's take the Pitt Artist pen, just go over these black lines right here, help it pop out a little, and you can kind of dab it with your finger just to kind of soften it up. There you go. And then there's a little bit of if you take the Micron, the Micron pen, you can kind of go over this little stitch on his coat. There's like little crosses, like a stitch on it like this, which is why you need a Micron, because it is so beneficial. I'm gonna add some more up here. I like how that looks. Add some here. And add some here, and then I'm going to put a stitches across it too. Great. You could even add one on the shoulder and put like little stitches looking on it. Okay, that looks good. So let's continue the rest of the coat. For the black, where's my black? All right, I'm gonna sneeze any minute now, I think. Excuse me. So for the black, I want to actually, we'll add in, so let's see, the highlight on this one with a light, moonlight hitting it, it might go, probably be like right down here, I'm thinking. Anyway, let's take the black and do, I'm gonna go over really thin along this line before we do the Tuscan red of his back. Do it kind of soft. Also around the line of his coat, so we can kind of tell where one starts and the other begins or ends. You know what I mean? Around her. If you look on the inside here, you can do this little area right here, and it's the lapel. And not around. I'm going to do a little bit here along his coat line right here. Let's focus on just the top. Okay, let's go to the Tuscan red. I want to get in here, follow along the line of just on this little nook and just along the line right here of his sleeve, and then up here. Right here. All right, let's follow the line here. Back. Okay. Let's do the Crimson Lake. I'm gonna get here, I'm gonna inside around this little curl in her hair. And right here is this little black area. Leave it kind of open in the middle. All right, let's follow this. We're only going left to right, so we're gonna just overlap a little bit that Tuscan and bring it into the white area. All right, just a little. Okay, now let's do the Crimson Red. Gonna bring this in more. I'm gonna leave a little bit of sliver of white so we can put in a little bit of the Deco Pink, and there'll be a little bit of a highlight there. So let's put in the Deco Pink at the edge of that red, and then put in some white right there. kind of right along there. I don't think we need a second round on this one. I'm going to touch the not with the Tuscan, with the Crimson Lake. Just a little more up here in the. I think we have enough because it's a small area. Oh, I forgot to close it in over here. My bad. The Crimson Red, we need to bring in a little bit over here. A little more color. Teeny dot there of the Deco Pink. Okay, so the Tuscan. I'm gonna just tap in a little bit more of this along that black right here before we start blending. Right here. And just softening this up for going over it. A little bit more pink. Okay, let's go ahead and blend this one. Let's get right along here in the white and pink. Right in here too. And then I'm going to kind of go outward. Just blend. Just in this little area. Try not to catch any of her hair, that black. You don't want to blend black into there. Easier said than done, I know. Okay, there we go. That looks amazing. See why we take our time with these little details. I'm going to go over everything together now. I'm not totally touching the black along his spine, but in general. Nice smooth blend. Let's take a red and just touch it right there. Okay. All right, so we'll do the bottom of his coat as well. I'm going to take the black and I'm going to just continue the kind of the line down his back. Just softly trace it, bring it out just a little. It's a wider area, so we can bring it out just a teeny bit more than we did above. And the highlight, I think, is going to be kind of maybe more right here to the right of these little dirt spots. And then I'll have to put it in around everything, which means I want to put a little bit of black under the belt, around his sleeve, and then the front of her dress here. I'm gonna maybe put like one black line here, one here, that kind of matches what was over here, one here, one here. Okay, now let's go to the Tuscan Red. All right, now we're gonna box it in slowly. So let's go into this block on the right side, bring it down a little and out a little. This is the Tuscan red. Okay. Gonna blend down this one. Over the red. And we're going to bring it out a little. You have to kind of try to go around these little dirt spots, which is dirt, I think, getting torn up when he busts out of the ground. Okay, good. Bring this down just a little. So that'll be, I think this is about right. A little bit more maybe right here. I'm gonna go, oh, I didn't see that. We're gonna go right here in front of her dress. I added in this little slit of blue because I had forgotten that with her dress. Off camera I did that. So let's put a little black in front of it. And put in this Tuscan red right here around the dirt. See that white? It's gonna go right there. Yeah, I'm thinking of one other idea, but I'm gonna go up along the side of his hand just a little bit right there. Okay. Okay, let's go to the Crimson Lake. I'm gonna blend up here, up next to the finger. I'm gonna kind of go to about right here, to the right of where the finger point is where I'm gonna fill in a little bit on the top. Okay, so if we go down just a teeny bit on the inside of the finger, then down here, follow the line of the finger. So if we're going to put that highlight right here, we can go over just a teeny bit more, kind of a little bit over that black area, go down. Okay, a little bit down here. Trying to line it up. Okay, let's go to the Crimson Red. Same thing, we're going to, well, the first thing I want to do is I want to draw in the highlight. So I'm going to take the pink where I want the pink to kind of end. So we're going to put it right here to the right of this dirt and right here to where the point of his finger is and straight down. You got to kind of follow the line of it down. Can't see that very well on camera, but so we know to stop there. With our final color, which is what we're doing with the red now. We're going to put a little pink too, but so let's do half of this area up to the dirt in this Crimson Red, and then we're going to put in the pink up to the pink line. Gotta go next to the finger, around the finger. Okay. A little bit more between the fingers. Now let's work on this pink. get the pink in up to that line we did. So, hair in my face. Around the dirt. Up to the pink. So we're going straight down, which means we can go right here. Maybe we'll put a little more red over there. I might have done a little too much pink. So I'm gonna take my crimson red again, just down here. We don't need quite this much pink, so we can actually touch this between the flower, around the leaf. And a little bit more right here. Just blend over that pink a little. It'll all tie together. It'll be fine in the end. All right, very light. Overlap these colors. Okay, now we'll put in the white. Okay. All right. Okay, so that took a while, but what I want to do is I want to take the Tuscan red. We don't need to add more black in, but I want to go in and do that some more dark red up to the back and bring that out just a little, put in a little more color. This is part of building layers that we have to go through to get it to look a certain way. Around the dress. And down here around the dress. Okay, let's do the Crimson Lake again. Okay, the Crimson Red, or just boxing it in, re-layering, putting some of that Crimson Red all over here, close to the pink. All right. Adding just a little more. I think I can add of this crimson. I think it's a little bit of a wider stripe than I meant it to be. It's really hard to get a straight like highlight when you have to go around a bunch of stuff. Oh well, okay, I'll try the pink one last time. I'm gonna add a little pink randomly here, there, all over. And a little more white. That was the light pink, by the way. And let's just see what we can do to get this to look somewhat decent. It's a little splotchy, but hopefully it'll have worked out. We're gonna blend now. Get my blender, picking everything off. I got black in the middle there. All right, I'm just gonna start blending in the middle. Okay. All right, so here we go. We're gonna blend around the hand into the panel, the coat. And we're gonna go around this way. Try to get all these dark areas here. Between the fingers. It's hard to go around little stuff, especially with blending and pencil, so don't feel bad if you get a little bit of color or something on any of the fingers or leaves. I've done it. I just did it, in fact. We hope the next color will cover most of those things up. Just remember, all this little black here is going to look good with the black background. Oh dear, how did I get a pencil mark right there? Good thing we're using black, huh? I wonder if I can erase that. I got some of it. That's black, so it's kind of dark, but okay, still blending. I'm gonna get down here. I'm gonna resharpen this before I try to get in these tiny little areas so I don't botch something. Okay, I'm gonna resharpen. Let's go down here. Go around. Now I'm going to run around everything. I'm going to run this left and right over that white and pink spot to kind of make it look like a coral, so it'll kind of like fade it out. You want it to be a subtle highlight. That's good. It also softens like where the red ends and the pink begins. Get between the fingers again. You have to keep pulling the crumbs off the edge of your blender, which is what I keep doing. Let's get down here around these leaves. I need to actually add, this one isn't quite straight enough. I need to add a little bit of red back if I can right here so that highlight looks a little straighter. It's a little better. There we go. It's a little better. So I mean, it's a subtle highlight, but you can see it's a little lighter here, and the leaves will pop out more over the coat. I think it's pretty consistent. Maybe not the best, but I think it'll do. Okay. Ooh, that was a lot of effort for one small area, huh? We can do his coat label. Let's do it black well, this is, the black's gonna come up to here, so we want the black part to be down the front part of his collar. The sky, we don't want the sky to blend. Let's do the Tuscan red. Gonna blend that in. We're just gonna go toward the back of the collar. All right, the Crimson Lake. There we go, and then just a little bit of pink right there. Maybe a little pink right around the collar and overlap it a little. I don't think we need to blend twice. I'll go do it. We don't really need 2 layers. Let's just pick off the end of our blender and blend this in. Lightest to darkest. Can blend away from the sky. Little tiny beats here. Kind of gives a nice peachy color. There we go. Real easy. I think that will make some dirt maybe. I did notice this looks a little faded. I added a little black right here. I did notice this area here. First of all, I missed a little bit of her hair right here on the left of her chin, so I need to put in that black pencil. But there's some space here, which must be his shirt underneath. So I want to give that like a maybe a turquoise color, something that's going to stand out. Not black. I don't know about brown, because then people think it's the tree. Has to be something that would be like an emerald green underneath, or an orange or something like that. So we'll get back to that. Okay, well, we're done with his coat. I did want to add a little of that artist pen black over right here where I put in those squiggles, and then dab it with my finger to lighten it up. And then I want to do with the micron, the little stitches look. So we have one here that was already here. Can go like that. I'm actually going to draw one in that kind of goes down here, like right like that. I'm going to draw one in. Then I'm going to do one here that's like a circle, a half moon, and put lines to cross it like stitches. I kind of want to put one here too, around right here, subtle. This is why you need this micron. This is the 45mm. I'll link this product, but I use it for a bazillion things. It's very, very useful. Okay. Excellent. Good, good, good. Let's work on the skeleton face, I guess. Which will be, okay, we've got our grays. We're going to start with, if I can find it, that's not it. Cool gray, 10%, 30%. Thought I made a new gray card. Okay, so anyway, grays we have here. Let's see. So we're going to do 50%. So I have 50, 20, and 10. So this should say, theoretically, I'm going to turn this card over. 50% cool gray. Okay. Which is what we're starting with, is this 50% cool gray. And the pencil number on that is 1063. I need to sharpen mine a little. Okay, so I want to go ahead and do over these kind of darker areas. So like actually I want to take my, the black is so risky. Yeah, I need the black pencil. Black first. I want to get in these little pockets where it's already black. The base of his head, his eye sockets, his nose hole, a little bit right there. That's it for the black. 50% cool gray. Okay, so I'm going to take where these squiggle lines are and I'm going to shade in and follow the line, like around it. If that makes sense. Okay. I'm not doing it very dark. I'm doing it pretty light. Wherever there's one of those squiggle lines, just shade on one side of it, like you're tracing next to it. I'm gonna get this jowl here. Get this little nose hole right here. Maybe around his eye a little. His spine, we're gonna do like the vertebrae or the lines. Okay, I'm gonna do one right up the middle there. That is teeth we do separate. Yeah, okay, I think that's it. Now we need to do the 20% cool gray. So we got 20% cool gray, 20% cool. Sorry about my terrible handwriting. 20% cool gray. So let's, my hair stuck to this. We're gonna shade kind of into that little other gray, like into the dip. Just kind of along it and bring it into a little bit of the white, wherever you put that little curve. Or there's like the little curve of that other gray. So we're just gradually filling in a little bit more white. I'm gonna go along the back of his head here, do a little bit of shading right at the base. Follow this line, those two lines, right along there. Okay. Put that down here. All right, now the 10% cool gray. Same thing, don't do all the white areas, but lightly shade this kind of above where your other shading was in those little folds and dips. Maybe halfway on his spine. Around the eye, a little bit on his chin. We're going to put in some white too, but we just want a little bit of that gray there. Not too much. Okay. There we go. Now the white. Really want to sharpen, make sure there's no red on here from the coat. I definitely have red on here. All right. So, Alexa, what time is it?
Good afternoon, Emily. The time is 2:42 p.m.
2:42. I have to stop here shortly. All right, so let's get in and just blend in the more open areas, kind of where you stopped that other gray. You can overlap it a little. We might add a little bit of acrylic white marker later. I don't know that I want to blend this because I don't want, when you blend it, even with the white, the whole thing will be melded a very light gray, and so I wanted to still have those white spots, which we might need pen for, but overall I think this is going to be sufficient. The teeth, I have a method for that as well. I'll do later. Let's do along the side, go over everything with the spine here. So we kind of use the white to soften everything too. And all the open areas, it softens that gray. It gives a slight tint of grayish to the skeleton when you soften it up, but like it's not fully like gray or white. Okay, and this will be a nice accent, that little bit of gray to the tombstones. And so that's really all we need. Couple of options. We can do a gel pen to get his teeth more white, but they're already kind of white. If we did a gel pen, it would just pop out. But normally I would take the micron. I think we'll just do that and we'll make his teeth more visible. So what you would do is you'd use this micron, do a thin line, and then go over his teeth here. If you make the teeth pop out, I think it'll stand out enough. There you go. Kind of creepy looking kind of thing. You can touch over the black areas you did with the pencil on there. You can go up the middle of his spine too. So it just stands out a little bit. Okay, that's really all we need to do with that. So we can move on. The hat. The hat I haven't decided. It's probably going to be, I might tie it into whatever color we put in his shirt. I want to see how the background looks and how some of this looks before I decide what color, because I like to balance my colors, right? So if we have a lot of one color down here, or like a lot of, let's say, greens and oranges and yellows for leaves, I might want to see if there's a little color down here we can pull up to here, because I always try to make my color themes kind of cohesive and naturally flowing and everything. But we are going to do the dirt next, and then the leaves after my appointment, in which I'll be back, and for you will just be momentarily, and we will continue. I'm going to brush everything off. All right, see you shortly.